to re-emphasize the closing statement in what he said last night, which is the U.S. is providing the military push along with Israel, but ultimately it's the encouragement and it's the opportunity of the Iranian people to.
Live from Michigan Avenue, this is Fox 32's Good Day Chicago.
And we are following breaking news this Saturday morning out of the Middle East. The U.S. and Israel have launched strikes on multiple targets in Iran, and Iran, the regime, has responded. We will get to all the breaking details. People in Chicago continue to pay their respects to the late civil rights icon, Reverend Jesse Jackson. And it is definitely going to feel colder today. Mark Strell will be up with the latest on the forecast in just a few moments. But we start with the situation unfolding in the Middle East. The Iranian military has carried out widespread attacks in the Middle East as a response to the joint operation launched by the U.S. and Israel overnight. This morning, multiple areas in Iran, including the capital city of Tehran, were hit. As we take a look at some video that is into our newsroom, some of the strikes against Iran were targeting the Iranian supreme leader and president, along with other Iranian officials, government officials. There is no word yet of any of the Iranian officials who were hit in the attack. This is now the second U.S. attack on Iran in less than a year. This also comes after U.S. and Iranian officials tried to work out a nuclear deal. Meantime, Iranian officials say it has carried out retaliatory strikes against U.S. military facilities in several different countries in that region. This includes military bases in Qatar, Kuwait, the UAE, and the U.S. naval base in Bahrain. The Iranian military has also reportedly launched multiple missiles toward Israel as well. President Donald Trump has posted a message on his social media platform, Truth Social, saying that there could be U.S. casualties.
I do not make this statement lightly. The Iranian regime seeks to kill. The lives of courageous American heroes may be lost, and we may have casualties. That often happens in war. But we're doing this not for now. We're doing this for the future.
Many U.S. and Israeli officials believe these strikes on Iran will continue for a number of days. We will continue to provide updates on this breaking story throughout the morning. In that same video message, President Trump encouraged the Iranian people to overthrow the regime and use this chance to do so. We will continue to follow every breaking development out of the Gulf region there. Other breaking news we are following this Saturday morning, though. A 30-year-old man is dead after a drive-by shooting in the Chicago Lawn neighborhood. Police say it happened just before 3 a.m. in the 3200 block of West 62nd Street. According to police, that victim was standing outside when someone in a silver sedan fired multiple shots. The victim suffered multiple gunshot wounds, died at the scene, and as of now, no arrests have been made. Another developing story to get to, the FAA might cut flights out of O'Hare. The agency says major airlines have overscheduled flights. There is a meeting March 3rd to go over the specifics here. They say it's about fixing crowd size, cutting down on scheduling chaos, and making flights run on time. Some other local news to get to. 20 people were hurt after a crash involving a car and a CTA bus on the south side of the city. 15 of the victims were sent to the hospital, while 5 others on scene refused medical treatment. The crash happened at East Pershing Road and South King Drive. That's in the Bronzeville neighborhood. Fox Chicago spoke with somebody who was on the bus when the crash happened.
I looked up, I seen the car coming and the bus going out and collapsed. I was all the way in the back. I kind of seen the car like coming, and I kind of embraced. And like I said, I didn't have all of the impact because it hit the front and I was all the way in the back of the bus.
The cause of the crash is still under investigation. All right, 7:04. Hope your Saturday morning's off to a nice start. It was certainly nice out yesterday. I got outside without a coat or anything, Mark Strell, but going to be a different story today?
Oh, yeah. I mean, we've fallen into the 30s here this morning, but, you know, check out this picture here. Doesn't it kind of look like Florida? Just pretend really you're in Florida here.
A couple of dolphins, breaching the surface of the water.
There's a little dolphin out there, some sailboats, you know, some folks down on the beach just, you know, sunning themselves. We can always pretend, right? Because today we have daytime highs only in the 30s. We have a shot of some snowfall coming our way. Most of us, I don't think, will see snow. I think the best chance of snowfall is going to be right here along the Wisconsin state line area. We could pick up to an inch of snowfall there. Here in the city, kind of hit and miss as you go to the south suburbs, southwest suburbs, even the far west suburbs. I think we're kind of a little bit more on the line there as temperatures hover, you know, at or even a little bit above the freezing mark. Forecast high temperatures today, 36 degrees at O'Hare, 36 degrees at Midway, 35 degrees at the Lakeshore. And there's the 40s down to the south. It's not going to snow there. Again, best chance of snowfall right along the Wisconsin state line area. Beautiful sunrise this morning. Don't expect a lot of sun today. We've got more clouds than anything else. Those clouds are going to continue to stream in as we go throughout the morning. And you can see a little bit of light snowfall showing up on radar. Most of this having a hard time reaching the ground right now. And I think most of the snow is going to stay across southern Wisconsin. That's where the bulk of this snow is coming in. We're kind of on the fringe. We're getting a little brush by there. Temperatures right now, 34 degrees at the Lakeshore. It's 37 degrees this hour at Midway, 30 at Woodstock, and 29 this morning at Morris. Well, winds, not too bad, but about 10 miles per hour or under in most cases. 12-mile-per-hour wind gusts now at Waukegan, but winds are coming down the lake. They've since chilled us out here today. Those winds dropping in, some cooler temperatures. And even with an 8, 9, 10-mile-per-hour wind, it's good enough to knock the winds, chills out of the 30s for the most part and into the 20s. So it is a stark contrast from where we were just 24 hours ago.
All right, Mark, thank you very much for that update. We will be checking back in with you. For decades, he stood on the front lines of change, preaching hope, demanding justice, lifting up generations. As Tia Ewing explained, Chicago is remembering Reverend Jesse Jackson, not only as a civil rights icon, but as a father and a pastor and a man whose faith never wavered.
God has blessed me.
It's a celebration of life for a man who dedicated his life to making the world around him better.
Reverend Jackson is one of the few men who become a symbol. All men and women don't become symbols. But when a man or a woman becomes a symbol of hope, a symbol of resilience, a symbol of compassion, we owe them not just to stop at admiration. We have to move to action.
Reverend Jesse Jackson Sr. was a longtime member of the church led by Reverend Reginald Sharp Jr., Fellowship Chicago. He leaves behind a lasting legacy there, helping the congregation secure a permanent home and strengthening its foundation for generations to come.
Because Dr. King spoke at our church, we were delayed building that building 7 years. So it would ultimately be Reverend Jackson who says to Reverend Evans, hey, because I got you in this, I'm going to help you get out of this. And he helped secure 3 loans from 3 banks to help us finish that building.
Jackson often worked behind the scenes, a selfless servant, always ready to uplift others and move the mission forward.
The Reverend Jesse L. Jackson Sr., we thank you for the work that he did. We thank you for his ministry. We thank you for the lives that he touched.
The impact of his life is unmistakable. Hundreds lined up this week to pay their final respects as the civil rights icon lay in state at Operation Push. Next week, his body will travel to his home state of South Carolina and to Washington, D.C., before returning to Chicago for final remembrances. Greeting visitors inside the church were Jackson's children, Jonathan, Ashley, Santita, Jesse Jackson Jr., and Yusuf, standing together as mourners gave their condolences.
What was that feeling when you saw Drexel Avenue just lined with people getting ready to pay their respects to Reverend Jackson?
I was very proud to realize that people appreciated him and remember him and what he has done.
A lot of emotion to finally see a great man have his rest. He's earned his rest. He served his purpose on this planet, and we're grateful that we had him here.
That was Tia Ewing reporting for us. On Monday, Reverend Jackson will lie in honor at the South Carolina State House, and then there will be a formal service in Washington, D.C. that following Wednesday. Then on March 6th, he will return home to Chicago. The public homegoing service is going to happen at House of Hope. That's on East 114th Street. And then a private service will be held at Rainbow Push headquarters the following day. All right, coming up here on Good Day Chicago on your Saturday morning, we will continue our coverage of the U.S. and Israeli military operation against Iran, what we are learning out of Washington, D.C. when we come back.
Chicago.
Welcome back. We continue to follow breaking news out of the Middle East, where Iran has launched widespread attacks in that region in response to the U.S. and Israel striking. A joint attack. Rebecca Castor joins us live this morning from the Washington, D.C. And Rebecca, what is the latest we know about this ongoing conflict?
Well, Anthony, this morning, Iran is actively retaliating. They have fired missiles at several Middle Eastern countries. It appears many of them were intercepted, but we are seeing videos online of a missile strike near the U.S. Navy base in Bahrain. This is the headquarters for the U.S. Navy's 5th Fleet, the sailors behind every American operation in the Persian Gulf. It is likely this base was evacuated ahead of time, but we are efforting information on any casualties.
Okay, Rebecca, do we know how Congress is reacting, or members of Congress this morning? Was anyone given a heads up about the this joint Israeli-U.S. operation against Iran?
Yes. So the top Republican and Democratic lawmakers in Washington, we call them the Gang of Eight, they were briefed on this mission this week. We also heard from Speaker Mike Johnson's office. They told us that Secretary of State Marco Rubio called him overnight before the strikes were launched. But Congress as a whole did not sign off. That is going to cause a big debate here. We're seeing reaction from a lot of lawmakers online. Several Democrats are already speaking out against this decision. One is Democratic Senator Reverend Gallego. I want to read to you what he said on X. He said, "We can support democracy in Iran without sending troops to die." But then you have Democratic Senator John Fetterman saying the opposite. I'll read his statement. President Trump has been willing to do what's right and necessary to produce real peace in the region. So that is just an example of the dramatically different reactions that are pouring in from Capitol Hill this morning.
Okay, in terms of the impetus for this attack and what triggered it, what is President Trump saying about that? Was there an imminent threat? I know we've been building up our military presence in that region.
I found it interesting that during his video message overnight, he kind of laid out his case to the American people for why he is launching these strikes. He touched a lot on the complicated history between the U.S. and the United States, but he underscored that the primary reason for this attack is that he does not want Iran to be able to have a nuclear weapon, and they have been unwilling to abandon this nuclear program. But regime change is definitely part of this conversation. He also spoke directly to the Iranian people during his video address, and he told them that this is their chance to rise up, seize this moment, stay indoors, shelter in place right now, but once the bombings are over, he wants them to take to the streets and overtake their government.
Wow, yeah, okay. And in terms of the military presence, you alluded to one of the Democratic lawmakers saying, hey, you know, American troops don't need to die in this conflict. Could we actually see boots on the ground if this conflict continues?
That's a great question. No U.S. official, including President Trump, the Secretary of War, or Vice President Vance, have explicitly stated that the U.S. would put boots on the ground. But in that video address overnight, Trump did warn Americans there will be casualties. So is he referring to attacks on U.S. bases overseas or sending troops in to invade the country? We will have to wait and see on that.
Okay, Rebecca Castro in Washington for us. Thank you very much for the update there. Appreciate it. Okay, it's 7:16. Back here locally, we're checking in with Mark Strell about the weather situation. Not similar to yesterday in terms of temperatures today, correct, sir?
Unfortunately, it is dissimilar. Right?
I don't like to hear that. Yeah, I don't like to hear
This is a time you really don't. You know, it looks pretty as the sun comes up over the lake here this morning, but a couple of things are changing. First of all, the temperature set up. We were in the 60s yesterday. Parts of the area had temperatures in the upper 60s. Today, we're going to be in the 30s. And we also have this. This is a little bit of light snowfall sliding in from the Dakotas across Minnesota and Iowa. I think the bulk of this is going to be to our north across Wisconsin, but I think we also could get a little splash on our side of the Wisconsin state line. I think the closer you get to Wisconsin, the better chance you see of snowfall. We could see up to an inch of snowfall. Northern counties, Lake, McHenry, Boone, Winnebago counties could see an inch or so of snowfall. Here in the city, we have a halfway decent chance of missing out completely in the south suburbs. You won't have to worry about that at all. Now, there is a secondary shot of snowfall, but I'll tell you why you probably won't have to worry about that much either coming up. Again, beautiful sunrise here up over the lake. We're getting a little glint of sunshine off of the buildings downtown, but again, more clouds than anything else today. It is going to be a cool weekend. Temperatures in the upper 30s today, into the lower 30s tomorrow, lower and mid 30s. But beyond that, this is the temperature outlook taking us all the way through mid-March. And you can see that the temperature trend will be above average. In fact, a pretty good signal for above average temperatures. Next 10 days, we've got cold temperatures today, cold temperatures tomorrow on Sunday. But after that, by Monday, we start to ratchet back up pretty close to normal and then above normal for the rest of the week. Now, it's going to be a very wet week. We've got chances of rainfall virtually every day beyond Monday. But look at these temperatures all the way up into the 60s as we soar towards next weekend and even beyond that. Temperatures staying at or above normal. So temperatures looking pretty sweet here as we go through the next 10 days at the very least. All right, stick around. We've got more news and weather coming up.
Chicago, honoring Black History Month.
Unfortunately, more scammers are turning to AI to fake emails, phony texts, make phony phone calls, and these schemes are familiar, but the technology is making them a lot more convincing, unfortunately. And when those scams involve the mail, federal postal inspectors step in. Casey Cronus has more.
Typically, the FBI leads cybercrime investigations, but the U.S. Postal Inspection Service plays a key role too, because sometimes a scam will start online, but the fraudster will end up asking you to send money through the mail.
If you're getting attacked from all different directions when it comes to scammers trying to reach you,
AI is making fraud look more real than ever. 1 in 5 people fall victim to online scams. Last year, Americans lost $12 billion because of it.
really seeing those romance scams, investment scams, cryptocurrency scams, impersonation scams. Those are really some of the ones that we're seeing a lot lately.
With National Consumer Protection Week around the corner, Inspector Eric Shen, who leads criminal investigations for USPIS, is reminding us how to spot red flags.
Part of the fraud scheme, whether you get it via text, email, other than mail, mail is still a part of it, meaning the scammers will still utilize the mail, whether to continue that communication with you, send you things, and then also the big thing is they want you to do is send them money.
The Postal Inspection Service doesn't only get involved when fraudsters impersonate them, but it is one of the scams they deal with. So beware of those suspicious texts and emails claiming that your package is delayed. Sometimes the scammer even provides a fake tracking number.
The post office will never text you to tell you your package is running late and you have to pay extra money for it. And if you do get one of those texts and you are expecting a package, reach out to the post office. Go there in person or call or go to USPS.com and research on your own. Do not click on that text.
Whether or not you fall for it, officials want to hear from you.
Do not feel ashamed. Report it. Go to USPIS.gov/report. Report the incident. Save any kind of communication you have with the scammer. Save any kind of bank documents. Contact your bank to try and stop those payments if it hasn't already gone through. The sooner you're able to get a hold of the postal inspectors, the sooner we're able to help as far as investigations and potentially even getting some of that money back.
We have more information on how to report fraud on our website. You can also enroll in the post office's Informed Delivery service. Each day you'll get an email showing what mail and packages are coming your way, so you'll always know what to expect. In the South Loop, Casey Cronus, Fox Chicago.
Imagine pulling up to a stoplight and then plunging into a giant sinkhole. That is what happened to 2 vehicles this past week in Omaha, Nebraska, of all places. Cameras were rolling when the sinkhole opened at an intersection. Yeah, bystanders rushed in to get those drivers out while a crane had to be brought in to pull those vehicles out. Thankfully, no one was hurt. You don't expect that in Omaha. That's
no, not in
Florida.
Omaha. Right.
Florida, that
yeah,
happens, right?
Exactly. You know, and I suppose this can happen really in any urban environment. You got a pipe that busts loose under the street.
Yeah, that's
starts
true.
To erode away whatever's going on there. But Omaha, that's pretty exciting news there. Yeah,
yeah, for sure.
Well, let's take you out to Pasadena, California. This is a little excitement in the neighborhood. Coyote. We've been on a roll with coyotes lately. It's kind of a busy coyote season.
It is. It's breeding season.
Yes, it is. And they get a little frisky at this juncture. The coyote is seen chasing a toddler outside of a family's home. The video shows the 3-year-old running and screaming as the animal follows. Though right through the front gate, the child's mother screamed to scare the animal away. And the family says they've seen coyotes in Pasadena before, but none had ever stumbled into their yard like that until now. We see them in our neighborhood quite frequently, up in the northern suburbs, and we have an indoor/outdoor cat. Every time I let that cat out, I say, Jones, go outside at your own risk, my friend. At your own risk. Yeah, exactly. On the farm, we've lost a couple of cats over the years. To the coyotes, yeah. And, you know, one good benefit of having yotes here in Chicago is they eat the rats. That's right. It's a rat abatement measure. Hey, we've been told by our local village, hey, we got to coexist. At this point, we got to coexist with the coyotes. Right. They were here first, right?
They were here first.
A long time ago.
Okay, some tense moments as well at a ski resort near Lake Tahoe on the animal theme here. Skiers and snowboarders, they were enjoying an afternoon of fresh powder when three bears, it sounds like a fairy tale, yeah, come charging across the ski run. Now, at first, everyone was unsure if they were in danger. Some folks could be heard screaming there, but those trio of bears ended up on the other side of the run. They were seemingly unbothered by the drama that they created. So maybe they were headed home to get that porridge.
You think so?
See if the porridge was still warm.
They heard Goldilocks was in the neighborhood. They wanted to scoot on home.
That would be quite the adrenaline. I mean, skiing already.
Yeah.
Already enough adrenaline pumping.
Yeah, that's a trip. All of a sudden, it's like, whoa, here comes. And not only one, but then you've got to kind of ski between the bears, right? What a trip.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, that is crazy.
That is. Wow. Okay. Quite the drama. 7:27. We got plenty to get to here on Good Day Chicago. It isn't just addressing a food desert in Chicago. We are going to be talking about a store that is really setting a new bar when it comes to defining what a neighborhood grocery store can actually be. Coming up, we are heading to the Austin neighborhood to show you how.
Sad.
Welcome back. We are following a major breaking international story this morning. The U.S. and Israel have launched a joint attack on Iran, and Iran has responded. The U.S.-Israeli strikes targeted what leaders are describing as key military, missile, and government sites across Tehran to eliminate what they are calling imminent threats. In a statement that he posted, a video message on Truth Social, President Trump is urging the Iranian people to use this opportunity to overthrow their government. Iran has responded. They have launched missiles at sites across the Gulf, calling the strikes by Israel and the U.S. as a violation of international law. We are still getting information very consistently into the newsroom this morning. As these images from Tehran come into the newsroom, reaction is also continuing to pour in from lawmakers on both sides of the aisle. Let's take a live look At the city, though, this morning back here locally, let's see what the Saturday forecast entails with Mark Strell, notably colder than yesterday.
Check out that picture right there.
Yeah.
You're seeing one building there right on the left-hand side. Looks like
Would
the tower.
that be the Trump Tower?
Yeah, and, reflecting a little bit of sunlight. And there is a little bit of sun coming up over the lake. And that's about it. I think today we're going to be mostly cloudy. We're going to see a lot of cloud cover, and we have a shot of some snowfall. But let's start out with something nice. You know, I showed you this graphic here just a few minutes ago, and, you know, this is something that'll warm your heart. It is going to be cold this weekend. Upper 30s today, below average. Low 30s tomorrow. Well below average, about 8, 9, 10 degrees below average. But we get back to average on Monday and Tuesday, and we're well above average for the rest of the week. And then look what happens next week and into the early part of next week. We're into the 60s. So things looking pretty sweet here in terms of temperatures. Not so sweet if you're tired of winter. We do have a little bit of snowfall that's going to try to sneak in as we go throughout the day today. Our forecast models keep this, I think, primarily north of Interstate 88, maybe a quick flurry or two below 88. Certainly if you're south of Interstate 80, I don't think we're going to have any issue here. I think the temperatures are going to be too warm for any snow. If we do see snowfall, and I think we will, the accumulation should be limited to around Woodstock, Crystal Lake, Libertyville. And I think we have a shot of about an inch of snowfall today. That's going to be our best projection at this point. And the closer you get to the Wisconsin state line, the better chance you will of seeing snowfall. Tomorrow, there's some snowfall, but I think it's going to stay well south of the city of Chicago. So if you miss out on the snowfall today, that means you have a pretty good shot of missing out on any snowfall or wintry weather this entire weekend. Jet stream bring us some cooler temperatures this weekend, but notice as we go through Monday and into Tuesday, the jet flattens out. We start to pull in some of that mild Pacific air, and then we start to warm up as we go through the rest of the week with those temperatures in the 50s. Although, as I mentioned earlier, it's going to be a wet week. You will need your umbrella virtually every day this week beyond Monday. Monday looks pretty good, but Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, all chances of rainfall.
Oh my gosh.
It comes.
March showers bring April. No, I think I got that wrong.
You're one ahead. Yeah.
I'm warm, but I think it's too early for all that rain. Mark, thank you very much.
You betcha.
I appreciate it. Okay, when faced with a food desert and inconvenient shopping options in the Austin neighborhood, one person tackled this issue head on and made things a little more accessible. Photojournalist Jonathan Young introduces us to the creator of 40 Acres Fresh Market.
I would say that the idea for 40 Acres was a progression over time. I'm not from Chicago. I'm actually from upstate New York. I came here to go to graduate school. I graduated, was working in the city, and just happened to be running an errand that took me to the Austin neighborhood. And when in the Austin neighborhood, I needed cash, and I could not find a readily accessible source to take my money out of my bank account in a cheap way. So I don't like to pay exorbitant ATM fees like you see at a lot of corner stores or check cashing places. So I was looking either for my bank or a retail location where I could make a purchase and get cash back. And I couldn't find one along Chicago Avenue. Walking all the way from like Laramie up to Long, couldn't find one. Googled it, nothing within a mile, so very difficult to find. And I'm like, where am I? Like, what kind of place am I at where I'm on a major commercial corridor and I can't do basic transactions? Because I didn't even know what neighborhood I was in at the time. Eventually realized I was in the Austin neighborhood, and that experience stuck with me because it really highlighted the tale of two cities. I have lived in the South Loop, I'd lived in Lakeview, I had lived in Westtown, and in none of those neighborhoods did I ever struggle or wonder where I was going to go for basic goods and services. So I think first I became problem aware that day, and then over time that grew into an idea of what if somebody opened a fresh market in that neighborhood. And eventually somebody became, well, why can't I do it? And from there, the idea for 40 Acres Fresh Market was born. I started with pop-up markets, expanded into delivery service, and the goal was always to open a store, and that goal was finally achieved in September of 2025. I chose Austin because it's the second most populated neighborhood in Chicago. There is a huge amount of population density in this area. It is also a mixed income community with people of all types of economic demographics living in one neighborhood. And the third reason is because in a neighborhood of this size, there were only 3 or 4 grocery stores servicing this over almost 100,000 people, which is not nearly enough. So I saw a gap in the market of people who have money to spend, everybody eats, and without an adequate option to service them. So I thought that that was an excellent opportunity to fill a need, solve a problem, and open a business that creates that solution. When it came time to develop the store, I wanted to create the grocery store that I wanted to shop at. I wanted it to look a certain way. I wanted it to feel a certain way. I wanted it to be really easy to shop. I wanted it to carry the items that I like because, you know, think if I like it, everybody's gonna like it. I wanted it to have a vibe, and that's like the entire in-store environment, from the lighting to the music to the way it smells, and like you can smell delicious things cooking, and then bringing on a staff that can bring all of that to life in an environment that is welcoming, inviting, easy to shop, offers pretty much everything you need, and also the convenience of being right in your neighborhood.
What a great effort there in the Austin neighborhood. Coming up for us here on Good Day Chicago, Instagram going to be rolling out a brand new safety feature, and this one involves automatic alerts to parents. Coming up, what search terms, phrases, and keywords punched in by those kids will now trigger a warning. Instagram will alert parents when their child searches for specific terms. This is a new feature meant to help parents if their teen repeatedly tries to search for terms related to suicide or self-harm. Kelly Saberi reports.
Instagram announcing new safety features for when teens repeatedly search suicide and self-harm terms. Instagram's parent company Meta issued a statement that said in part, quote, "These alerts are designed to make sure parents are aware if their teen is repeatedly trying to search for this content and to give them the resources they need to support their teen." They require that both parents and teenagers enroll in Instagram's parental supervision tools. Parents who receive the alerts will see a message explaining their teens concerning Instagram search habits.
You can turn on parental controls, and now their idea is that if your teen is talking about suicidal or self-harm thoughts on their platform, it's going to notify you as a parent.
Meta says the new safety features analyze teen search history to identify terms related to self-harm. Also proactively notify parents of concerning searches, send alerts via text, email, and in-app notifications, and provide expert resources to help navigate sensitive conversations.
Ironically, Meta is also saying in a study that parental controls don't do a lot. So I'm confused why they're making this move, but nonetheless, from a tech standpoint, parents do need to wake up.
The Instagram alerts will begin rolling out next week in the U.S., UK, Australia, and Canada. In Los Angeles, Kelly Saberi, Fox Business.
Coming up after a short break, a real-life Oscar the Grouch. Police in Ohio arrest a man who took off after holing up in a garbage can.
Well, Anthony, as a young lad, did you collect baseball cards?
Indeed, I did.
Did you ever put them with a little clothespin in your spokes of your bike, so they went.
You know, I didn't get in on that trend. I would put them in these books with the plastic slots, and then I'd have a binder full of them. Yeah.
Well, if you collected baseball cards, hopefully you didn't do that to this card.
No.
It is a rare baseball card from the early 1900s. It sells for a whopping price at auction. A 1909, you know it, it's the Honus Wagner card, sold for $5.1 million before being sold. The card had stayed in the same family for 116 years. Now, this is the third most expensive copy of that specific card. In 2021, a copy went for $6.6 million. And in 2022, another one sold privately for more than $7 million.
Dang.
That is, I believe that is the most expensive baseball card of all time.
That's unbelievable. Unbelievable. Yeah. Here's a story of a real-life Oscar the Grouch. A little Sesame Street reference here. Police in Ohio arrested a man who took off after hiding in a garbage can. Didn't work out for him. Yeah, exactly. Sunny days. Dash cam video from an officer shows a garbage collector rolling that can toward the truck, only to fall back after discovering a man hiding inside. The man then jumps out, flees the scene with his shoes flying off during the police chase. Police say the man was eventually caught, taken into custody. No injuries reported. The man hid in the trash after allegedly fleeing a traffic stop.
Yeah, he did not want to pay that ticket, apparently.
No, he didn't.
You know, can you imagine? He's being taken to the pokey. And I'll tell you, maybe this guy's smart, because none of the other prisoners in the lockup are going to mess with him because he's going to smell so bad, right?
Yeah, he's going to stink that,
he's like, man,
dumpster juice.
Dude, that sounds like a new cologne, dumpster juice.
Yes.
All right, one dog owner in New York doing some serious digging in the backyard after getting nearly 30 inches of snow. It was so deep, the paths they dug looked like little walls.
Whoa.
They even added a little tunnel to make it fun for the two little pups. Although it may have been more fun for the owners. It took the dogs a few tries to get used to their new backyard maze. Yeah, because the dogs are like, "Whoa, are you taking me?" You know,
that's very impressive engineering feat. But it looks like that snowdrift. I don't know if that's the snowfall or the snowdrift, but they got
walloped, yeah, on the East Coast, yeah. I mean, several feet of snow in some cases.
Oh,
yeah.
My gosh. Okay, a pair of animals, speaking of animals, at the Memphis Zoo, get into a wild stare down. This baby giraffe squaring off with a towering ostrich in the next enclosure. This is the first time they've encountered one another. So they had a staring contest of sorts. The two lock into a long stare down across their enclosure, stretching their necks, sizing each other up, and holding their ground. Man, no clear winner, but millions have watched that matchup online. Who are you putting money on?
I'm going to go with the giraffe.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I don't know why. I just think the giraffe, I don't know why. My money's on the giraffe.
I'm impressed. Is that a baby giraffe?
Yeah,
or is it
maybe.
Because the
kind of hard to see.
Because they look comparable in size, but you think of a giraffe as like by far and away the tallest animal.
Yeah, like maybe 2 or 3 ostriches.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, my money's on that. I want to know who won now. I mean, we've kind of laid down the challenge here. I want to see.
We need a giraffe cam and see if they're still.
Yeah, going at it.
Yeah.
I want some resolution there. All right, music doesn't have to die when you do. A popular water band, Liquid Death, has teamed up with Spotify to create the Eternal Playlist Urn. Batteries not included. It's a cremation urn with a built-in Bluetooth speaker, so your custom playlist can stream on forever. The ad says it cuts your odds of being haunted by 47%. Yeah. It's available online for just under $500.
Now we got to start thinking about our urn playlist.
Okay.
URN, our urn playlist.
But why stop there? I mean, we could record you giving tidbits of wisdom to your grandkids. Or, it says that, maybe it's not going to haunt it. Maybe you want it to haunt. It has like a little motion sensor, so when you come by, you're like, hey, what are you doing?
Hey, what are you doing?
Yeah. Honey, who's that new guy you got in our house?
Possibilities are endless.
Yeah, I mean, you could have some fun. Why not?
All right, don't go anywhere. Mark is going to be up with another check of our Saturday forecast when we come back right after this. Hope your Saturday morning's off to a great start. We'll be right back.
32.
All right, welcome back. 7:54. Mark, what are we doing weather-wise today?
It was great yesterday, wasn't it?
It was great. Spectacular.
Yeah. Way different today. Yeah, we've got colder temperatures, and we have that blue stuff coming in from the left-hand side, a little bit of light snowfall. Now, I think most of the snow is going to stay north of the Wisconsin-Illinois state line. However, some of it will splash on, especially the northern counties. I think our best chance of accumulating snowfall lies right along the Wisconsin state line area, where we have about an inch of snow that could occur today. Here in the city, maybe we'll see a little bit, but I don't think we'll see much, if any, accumulation at all. And the further south you go, not a problem at all. Temperatures right now, 34 degrees at O'Hare, also downtown, 37 degrees at Midway. The 3-day forecast, we've got 36 today, only 32 tomorrow, but we bounce back very close to normal tomorrow at 42. A lot of clouds around this weekend with some snow showers. We have a pretty decent storm system on Sunday, but I think it's going to stay well south of the city. This looks like some snow is possible again for central Illinois, maybe southern Illinois, but it will be well south of us. I don't think it's going to come into play for us. Quick look at what we're expecting here. There's that light snowfall, kind of giving us that glancing blow, and then there goes that moisture that is downstate. Watch it right here as it comes in. Again, I don't think it's going to be a big deal for us. Mostly rainfall with a little snow across central and southern Illinois. So the conditions really warm up nicely here over the next several days afterward, but it will be wet.
Okay, we'll be ready for that. I think Woodstock Willie was right a few weeks ago that spring coming early.
Not bad for a little rat, is it?
I know, it's good. All right, 7:56. Don't go anywhere. We got more news coming up on Good Day Chicago at 8 o'clock. We'll be right back.
Is on Fox. Live from Michigan Avenue, this is Fox 32's Good Day Chicago.
And we are following breaking news out of the Middle East this morning. Iran responds after the U.S. and Israel launched joint strikes on multiple targets in that region. We're going to be joined by a local professor for his analysis of the situation as it stands here on Saturday morning. Meantime, people in Chicago continue to pay their respects to the late civil rights icon, Reverend Jesse Jackson. And it is definitely going to feel colder than it did yesterday. For your Saturday, Mark Strell will have the very latest on the forecast in just a few moments. But first, we want to get to the situation unfolding in the Middle East this morning. The Iranian military carries out some widespread attacks in the Middle East as a response to the joint military operation launched by the U.S. and Israel. Rebecca Castor has the very latest now from Washington, D.C.
We saw the military buildup go on for months, and today, in broad daylight, the U.S. and Israel attacked Iran. Thick plumes of smoke drifting across Tehran on Saturday morning as President Trump announced the start of strikes against the Iranian regime.
The United States military is undertaking a massive and ongoing operation to prevent this very wicked, radical dictatorship from threatening America and our core national security interests.
The first target was apparently aimed at Iran's supreme leader, although he was reportedly taken to a secure location.
This is not a surprise that they would start out by attacking where Khamenei resides, because what the U.S. military would go after would be command and control, and that's the ultimate command and control. It's the ultimate message against the leadership that has been so intransigent.
The attacks coming after multiple rounds of talks in Geneva between the U.S., Iran, and Oman failed to convince Iran to abandon its nuclear program. Sirens in Israel were heard, and alerts went out on phones as Iran launched its own retaliatory strikes, which could go on for days, if not longer. The president called on Iran to surrender, but he also had a stark warning for the American people.
The lives of courageous American heroes may be lost, and we may have casualties. That often happens in war.
Congress has not signed off on this attack, and that will start a huge debate here in Washington. Democratic Senator Ruben Gallego posted his opposition on X, saying we can support democracy in Iran without sending troops to die. In Washington, Rebecca Castor, Fox News.
We're bringing in political science professor William Muck from North Central College to give us some context about these major developments overseas. Professor Muck, we've been reporting in recent days and weeks just how much the U.S. has been increasing its military presence, the Navy in particular, in that region. So obviously this isn't a complete surprise, but what finally triggered the joint strike itself?
This is the really important question, although we're seeing some early reporting that this may have been decided days ago. So it'll take some time to ultimately, find out what was motivating the president here. But it does sound like he wasn't seeing progress on the negotiating front, which shouldn't be surprising. That the last Iran nuclear accord took 20 months to agree. So diplomacy is slow, and the president had put himself where he had this military there, was costing billions of dollars. So I'm guessing that momentum prompted them to say, we need to move. It's time to move.
What is the objective here?
That's, again, also a really important question. This morning, the president suggested it's beyond just the nuclear infrastructure and the ballistic missiles. He was talking about regime change. And I will say that's one thing I think it's fair to criticize the administration about, is that they have not been as clear about what the goals and the motivation of the operation are. Think about back to 2003. The Bush administration made very clear what they were doing and why they were doing it. So we need more of that. But the language this morning from the president implied that they wanted to see a new regime in place. The fact that they're targeting leadership, specifically the Ayatollah, suggests that they want to destabilize the environment in the hope that that could lead to regime change.
Okay. Can you comment on the significance of Israel and the U.S. going in on this operation together?
Yeah, it is not surprising that Israel is on board. The Prime Minister Netanyahu has been pushing for a long time for a military solution to the problem that they see as Iran. The fact that the United States wants Israel along also makes a lot of sense. But again, we're thinking about this is two countries very, very different from other previous military operations where the United States had a large coalition. Whether that was the war in Afghanistan or the war in Iraq, the United States reached out to broader allies. The other interesting dynamic is how are the Gulf states going to respond? The United Arab Emirates, Saudi Arabia, where are they going to be in all of this? So the United States and Israel are really going this alone, which makes this a high-risk strategy. So we will see how it plays out, but there's a lot of risk at the beginning of it.
Professor Muck, what do you make of President Trump's urging? We heard his message to the American people, hey, there may be American casualties here. As for his message to the citizens of Iran, imploring them, urging them to take back their government, what do you make of that message?
I think this is really interesting, and it's a sign that the United States is unlikely to put boots on the ground. Trump's language this morning was like, hey, we're going to create the conditions. We're going to push the regime in a direction where they're ready to collapse, but you're going to have to finish the job. So that's how I take this, that he wants regime change, but he is reluctant to actually put boots on the ground and carry out a 2003 Iraq-type invasion. And he's saying, like, hey, we're going to destabilize, we're going to target the leadership, but we want you to take that final step. Now, we should say that is incredibly difficult because the Iranian regime is still very powerful. The Revolutionary Guard is 150,000 people. So this is going to be a very, very difficult operation to upend that regime. So again, very, very ambitious goals here.
Yeah, on that note, is there any kind of existing organized resistance to this regime that could organize or might have contingency plans in the event of a destabilization in that region that's kind of ready to go? Or are the citizens there pretty much going to have to organize here in the short term?
I think the latter, right? So there are a lot of people, including the Iranians themselves, who would like to see the regime gone, but there is not a clear opposition. So that's where we've seen over the last couple of weeks, the former Shah's son has sort of emerged as somebody to say, like, hey, I will lead the revolution. But in terms of an actual organized opposition in Iran, that doesn't exist, largely because the regime has been so good at devastating that. So that's a real logistical challenge. Let's say you get rid of that old regime or the top of that regime. You need somebody to step in and usher the country to a new place. Otherwise, you drift into chaos, and that could actually be worse for both Iran and the region as a whole.
Yeah, because there could be a total vacuum in that situation. Professor Monk, what do you think? Is this going to be a limited exchange here that lasts, let's say the next 4 or 5 days, or are we in regional war territory at this point?
I think the president wants it to be short, right? I think his goal, he likes these military operations that are quick, decisive, in and out, and he can say, I've got a victory. So I think that will be their goal, to say, hey, let's do this for a handful of days, devastate the infrastructure, missiles and whatnot, and then get out of Dodge. But as we know from the history of war, that doesn't always happen, right? So Iran is going to respond very differently to this conflict than they have in previous attacks by the United States. That could easily draw the United States further into a conflict that they don't want. The history of war suggests people want them to be quick and painless, but oftentimes it's much easier to get into a conflict than it is to get out.
Absolutely. We've learned that lesson a number of times. Okay, this, as Rebecca Castor just said in her piece there, this happened without the approval of Congress. So can you comment on what the rules say here? International law, is this kind of preemptive strike justified?
Yeah, two things. One, so the Constitution is very clear. You got to go to Congress to authorize war, but throughout history, presidents have circumvented that. So it's in violation of the Constitution, but there's a long-standing practice for that. But to your second point, yes, this is absolutely, we should consider this an act of preemptive war. Iran does not pose an immediate threat to the United States. They have not attacked the United States. So how we understand international law, the United States would be in violation of that long-standing rule to say you could only preempt a threat to another country if they're about to attack you. Now, we saw in 2003, it was a very similar case where the United States was not facing an imminent attack, but I would expect there's going to be some international pushback from countries saying, hey, United States, diplomacy, there are other means to achieve these ends. So there's going to be some global criticism of the United States for this.
How do you expect the Iranian regime to respond? I understand they have launched some counter strikes of their own in that region.
Well, we should say that the Iranian regime is bad. I mean, they are sort of in a low point in terms of power-wise, but they still have the ability to punch back. Now, this initial response that they've launched at some of the Gulf states and Israel doesn't appear to be very effective, but I think their motivation will be to show the United States you can't get away with this. They are worrying about their own preservation. They want to stay in power. That regime does not want to give up control. So they are going to do things that are going to make it more difficult for the United States to sustain this. They will be thinking about the domestic political environment in the United States. How do we put pressure on Trump domestically? So they will do things to raise that pressure. So they will certainly not sit back and take this. Now, the United States is a dramatically more powerful country, but we shouldn't expect this to be easy. This will be a complicated operation.
Professor William Muck, thank you for taking time for us on a Saturday morning. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Okay, it's 8:09. Other breaking news we're following here locally. A 30-year-old man is dead after a drive-by shooting that happened in the Chicago Lawn neighborhood. Police say it happened just before 3 a.m. in the 3200 block of West 62nd Street. According to police, the victim was standing outside when someone in a silver sedan fired multiple shots. The victim suffered multiple gunshot wounds, died at the scene, and as of now, no arrests have been made. Developing story to get to. We're also following the FAA might cut flights out of O'Hare, cut down on the number of them because the agency says that major airlines have overscheduled flights here. There's a meeting on March 3rd to go over the details here. They say it's about fixing crowds that are too large, cutting schedule chaos, and making flights run on time. All right, it's 8:10. Let's check in with Mark Strell for a look at this weather forecast as we kind of get revved up on a Saturday morning, Mark.
I'm all for revving.
Yeah, rev those engines.
Especially like today, you may need to rev a little more because it is chilly out. We do have a little peak of sunshine here, excuse me, as the sun comes up over the lake. Officially mostly cloudy skies at O'Hare. 34 degrees this hour. Winds out of the north at 10. Good enough to make it feel more like 26 degrees this morning. All right, the big story this weekend is it's not like Friday. The 60s are gone for a while. We're in the 30s both today and tomorrow. Mid-30s today, maybe some upper 30s. 40s if you're around Interstate 80 today. And then we're looking at temperatures a little bit cooler tomorrow. The other big story is there's some snowfall on the map. This snow is mostly slated to slide right across southern Wisconsin. I think we'll see a little bit break on our side of the state line. We could see up to an inch of accumulation, especially along the Wisconsin state line. But the further south you go, the less impactful that'll be. Here in the city, I'm not sure we're going to see anything at all. Maybe a couple of flakes, maybe a brief flurry later on today. And if you get south of Interstate 88, the temperatures today, I think, are going to be warm enough that if you see anything at all, it could be a couple of raindrops. 36 degrees right now in Joliet, 36 degrees Chicago Heights, 38 in Kankakee, and 34 degrees in Utica. 3-day forecast. And here we are, 36 today. 32 tomorrow. We're back close to normal on Monday, 42 degrees. We're in the low to mid 40s on Tuesday. And after that, 50s for the rest of the week. However, it is going to be a wet week. We have chances of rainfall after Monday that kick off Monday night and continue Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Not going to say it's going to be an all-week soaker, but at least we have chances of rainfall each and every day and at night as well. And at this point, we could use a little rainfall. Anthony?
Okay. All right. I'll take your word for it, Mark. Thank you very much, sir. Don't go anywhere. More Good Day Chicago coming up after a short break. Stay with us. Welcome back. For decades, he has stood on the front lines of change, preaching hope, demanding justice, lifting up generations. As Tia Ewing explains, Chicago is remembering Reverend Jesse Jackson, not only as a civil rights icon, but as a father, as a pastor, and a man whose faith never wavered.
God has blessed me. For there's never been a time in my life he did see me through.
It's a celebration of life for a man who dedicated his life to making the world around him better.
Reverend Jackson is one of the few men who become a symbol. All men and women don't become symbols. But when a man or a woman becomes a symbol of hope, a symbol of resilience, a symbol of compassion, we owe them not just to stop at admiration. We have to move to action.
Reverend Jesse Jackson Sr. was a longtime member of the church led by Reverend Reginald Sharp Jr., Fellowship Chicago. He leaves behind a lasting legacy there, helping the congregation secure a permanent home and strengthening its foundation for generations to come.
Because Dr. King spoke at our church, we were delayed building that building 7 years. So it would ultimately be Reverend Jackson who says to Reverend Evans, hey, because I got you in this, I'm gonna help you get out of this. And he helped secure 3 loans from 3 banks to help us finish that building.
Jackson often worked behind the scenes, a selfless servant, always ready to uplift others and move the mission forward.
The Reverend Jesse L. Jackson Sr., we thank you for the work that he did. We thank you for his ministry. We thank you for the lives that he touched.
The impact of his life is unmistakable. Hundreds lined up this week to pay their final respects as the civil rights icon lay in state at Operation Push. Next week, his body will travel to his home state of South Carolina and to Washington, D.C., before returning to Chicago for final remembrances. Greeting visitors inside the church were Jackson's children, Jonathan, Ashley, Santita, Jesse Jackson Jr., and Yusuf, standing together as mourners gave their condolences.
What was that feeling when you saw Drexel Avenue just lined with people getting ready to pay their respects to Reverend Jackson?
I was very proud to realize that people appreciated him and remember him and what he have done.
A lot of emotion to finally see a great man have his rest. He's earned his rest. He served his purpose on this planet, and we're grateful that we had him here.
That was Tia Ewing reporting. On Monday, Reverend Jackson will lie in honor at the South Carolina State House, and then there will be a formal service in Washington, D.C. on Wednesday. Then on March 6th, the public homegoing service is going to happen at House of Hope. That's on East 114th Street, and then a private service will be held at Rainbow Push headquarters the following day. All right, it's 8:18 on your Saturday morning, and time to check back in with Mr. Mark Strell. Hi, Mark.
Hi, feeling a little winter-like coming up this weekend, or at least late winter. We've got temperatures today in the middle 30s with a shot of snowfall north of the city. We've got 32 tomorrow with mostly cloudy skies. It's not till Monday we get back to normal with temperatures back into the low 40s. So here's a look at the setup. We've got kind of this elongated batch of snowfall shooting down from the Dakotas across Minnesota, Iowa, into Wisconsin. And as you notice, some of this is going to slide just south of the Wisconsin state line area. It'll make it down to about the city. I don't think we're going to see any real significant accumulation here in the city. We could see up to an inch of snowfall right along the Wisconsin state line. That does include McHenry and Lake counties, so you could get a little dust up there. South of the city, no issues at all. Then we have this storm system kind of ambling right through central Illinois. That could bring some stormy conditions down south with a little bit of snowfall across central Illinois, but I think we're going to totally miss out on that as well. So we kind of slide right past anything serious coming our way this weekend. And after that, it starts to warm up again. 40s on Monday and Tuesday, 50s for much of the rest of the week, but there's some rain coming your way. I'll tell you more about that in a moment.
Okay, we'll be ready. Thank you, Mark. Appreciate it. Today's Rare Disease Day, and it's meant to raise awareness for patients, families, and caregivers around the world that are affected by rare diseases. And one of those going through a rare disease is 7-year-old Riker Anderson. who has a rare and severe form of epilepsy. So joining us this morning is Riker's mom, Erica Anderson. Erica, good morning. And for viewers who are meeting you and hearing Riker's story for the first time, I am told it's called Dravet syndrome. Am I getting that pronunciation correct?
Well, it can be. In the U.S., Dravet is how most pronounce it,
Okay.
but it is pronounced differently in different countries.
Let's hear about what Dravet syndrome is and how it's changed Riker's life.
Sure. So Dravet syndrome is a severe form of epilepsy. There's currently no cure identified. It requires a variety of treatments and every individual with Dravet syndrome is different. So depending on, what drugs work best for that particular patient. But the syndrome causes prolonged seizures, frequent seizures, but not only that, it causes developmental delays. Those could be cognitive, they can be physical, speech delays, many things that we may not even have experienced yet with Riker in his short lifetime.
Okay, I understand that he has gone from experiencing dozens and dozens of seizures per month down to just a few. Okay, so what has been the difference maker there?
Sure. Yeah, it's been a lot of trial and error. His first 2 years of life, we experienced many, many seizures, and to say he had 10 to 15 a day is not an exaggeration. But when he was about 2.5 years old, we were waiting on a new drug called Fintepla to be available to us here in the U.S. And as soon as he started that medication, he went about 3 months with no seizures at all. So we were super excited about that. After that 3-month period, he does now have 2 to 3 a month, typically when he's in a good place. So when I say that, illness and weather changes, there's a lot of triggers that can kind of reverse that a little bit. As he grows and gets bigger, his meds need to be adjusted. So we've had some ups and downs since then, but ever since introducing Fintepla, it's been a game changer. So I encourage families that are going through anything similar to what we're going through with epilepsy, something to talk to your doctor about. Doesn't work for everyone, but I know that we've had many success stories within my support group with the med Fintepla.
That's really great. That's very, very promising, Erica. Would you mind taking us to his first day of school here? For many parents, back to school, it's about school supplies, backpacks, the bus route. What did that experience look like for your family, and what did it feel like the first time you were packing a backpack, packing a lunch, instead of preparing for multiple seizures at home?
Sure. Yeah. He was blessed with the experience to go to a preschool program in our local public schools for the first 3 years of his life, or I shouldn't say that, when he would turn 3, 4, and 5, which was a short program, great for him. But unfortunately, the public school system wasn't going to be able to accommodate all of his needs. And so we went a whole year with no school, no preschool of any sort, no daycare or anything like that. And then he got into a special needs school called Lighted Way right after a year of him not being able to go to school at all just due to seizure activity. And so, yeah, it was a huge deal when he actually was able to go. He wasn't having daily seizures and was able to go. And honestly, it was a typical, let's get his backpack ready. Let's get his, what is he going to wear on his first day? But really the focus was around how do we keep him well enough and keep his seizures at bay so he could actually attend school. And we've had great success with that this school year. Only a few days he's had to miss due to seizure activity.
That's very, very promising. Now, does he remember when it happens? What's the level of awareness?
Yeah. Sure. Dravet syndrome, it's on a spectrum, and I can't say exactly where, Riker is at on that, but I will say he's at a severity level that he is nonverbal. So it's very difficult to get an answer from him. We learn through just how he looks at me sometimes is how I know what he's thinking. But that's one thing that the school is really working with him on, is how the different ways in which he can communicate. So yeah, that could be a challenge, is we are still learning between sign language and a speech device, and I'm with him a lot, and I just know if he does this is what he wants. So it's kind of a little bit of mind reading there, I guess.
Yeah, you guys are figuring out how to communicate. What are some of his favorite things to do?
Probably number one on the list is swimming and baths. He loves water, which is interesting because that seems to be a trend with children with Dravet syndrome. So
Interesting.
great exercise for him because physically he has some challenges. So great exercise. He loves anything. My other three children are very involved in sports. So anything that involves a ball, he's always wanting to make a basket. So those are some things, and very interesting. He loves flashcards, which is a very interesting. He will play with flashcards for hours. Putting them out makes lots of messes, but we'll have a carpet. Our carpet is full of flashcards all over. So he has some very unique interests.
Very, very cool. It's really, I think it's very informative for other parents on this Rare Disease Day to hear these behind-the-scenes stories, what life is actually like. With today being Rare Disease Day, Erica, what do you want other people to know about families who are living with a rare disease in their family?
Sure. Yeah, I think knowing, connecting with others and with social media and things like that today, I'm very blessed to be part of a few support groups. So because there's only a few families in our area that experience what we're experiencing, it's important to have that network to kind of bounce ideas off of, share, frustrations, those sorts of things. So I would just encourage you to reach out, find those resources. It definitely is reassuring. And our family in general, we actually really focus around how do we choose joy, and it actually has expanded. We've over the last 7 years have used that mantra to really inspire others and to raise funds for the Dravet Syndrome Foundation to help them identify more treatment options, better treatment options, maybe ultimately a cure. And so that's really a focus for us, is spreading that Choose Joy message. So just a plug here, we have a Facebook and an Instagram page. It's called Choose Joy Rikers Rally, and we share all the fundraising we do. But we sell merch that has the Choose Joy logo on it, and we're really excited to see how that can encourage others that are in difficult situations to kind of focus around the joy that they can find in any situation.
I'm glad you did that plug. Erica Anderson, thank you so much for taking time for us on a Saturday morning to shine the spotlight on Dravet syndrome, what it's like, how it's impacting your family. It's just so, it's nice to talk to you, nice to hear about all the progress that Riker's been making. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. At 8:27, and we will be right back with more Good Day Chicago here on your Saturday morning in just a moment.
much you could save.
Welcome back, 8:30 on your Saturday morning, and we are following a major breaking international story right now. The U.S. and Israel have launched an attack on Iran. Iran has responded. The U.S.-Israeli strikes targeted what leaders have described as key military, missile, and government sites across Tehran to eliminate what they are calling imminent threats. In a statement, President Trump is urging the Iranian people to use this opportunity to overthrow their government. Iran has responded. They have launched missiles at sites across the Gulf. They are calling the U.S.-Israeli strikes violations of international law. We're still getting a lot of details on this, a breaking situation, as images and new info comes into the newsroom, and reaction is pouring in from lawmakers on both sides of the aisle. We will obviously keep you posted on the very latest developments. All right, taking a live look outside over Lake Michigan right now. Nice and calm. It looks pretty calm out there.
No. That's the Atlantic Ocean.
Oh, that's the Atlantic.
Yeah, we're in Florida this morning.
It does kind of look Floridian out there. Like there could be some dolphins.
Some folks out on the beach. Yeah, there's some frisky dolphins jumping around out there. I'm just in total denial this morning, by the way, after yesterday. Yeah, yesterday we had temperatures up in the upper 60s across parts of the area. Today, not so much. We're in the 30s, and we're in the low 30s coming up tomorrow. And I don't know if you heard, but there's a chance of some snow around the area. No, this really is Lake Michigan. But I got to tell you, it is nice seeing it being ice-free here this morning. So yeah, let's go with that. Snowfall, a little bit of light snowfall, mostly from Waukegan back to Woodstock to Rockford. I think the best chance for any accumulation today lies in that area around the Wisconsin state line area. Perhaps as much as an inch of snowfall there. I don't think we'll see much, if any, accumulation here in the city. And once you go from the city southward, I don't think there's really even a chance of seeing snowfall today, especially with warmer temperatures. Look at this, 41 in Morris, 39 degrees in Joliet, 37 in the Heights, 42 in Kankakee. So kind of a no-brainer. Meanwhile, yeah, 33 Waukegan back to Woodstock and Rockford. So some light snow. Most of the snowfall is going to be focused to the north of the Wisconsin state line, but I think some of it's going to pull down in our direction. Tomorrow there's another storm system, but I think that stays safely down to our south. So we kind of, for the most part, dodge a little bit of a bullet. There is some snowfall trying to sneak in around Rockford. None of that's really reaching the ground at this point. You have to go all the way back up to around Monroe, Wisconsin to see some light snowfall here this morning. And again, I think most of the snow stays to our north. Temperatures 35 at the lakeshore, 35 degrees. Also at Morris, 36 at Midway, and 36 degrees in Chicago Heights here this morning. And that's about what we're going to do for daytime high temperatures. Winds fairly light, but you can see single digits and low teens, and that's still good enough to reduce the wind chill down into the lower 20s across the good swath of Chicago. So we do warm up next week, Anthony, but there's some wet weather coming our way.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm not totally disappointed. I think it's a serviceable forecast.
It's serviceable. That's a very good way to put it.
Thank
serviceable.
You, sir. Appreciate it. All right. The Elimination Chamber is finally here. Yeah, it's going down at the United Center tonight. And joining me to talk more about this event is Branson Quirk. He is the host of TMZ's Inside the Ring podcast, along with his co-host and WWE legend, CJ Perry. Welcome to both of you guys. Did I get your last name?
You got it right.
Pronounce it right?
You're all good, man. I'm here every week from TMZ across the country.
So we tend to talk to Michael Babcock.
Yeah, that's right.
In the TMZ newsroom.
Yeah.
I'm not that, full disclosure, I'm not very familiar with the WWE world. So you're going to have to educate me, guys, on what this Elimination Chamber is all about. I'm guessing that it's what people enter a certain area and only one person.
There's cages. Okay. There's literally, I mean, this is a huge cage with metal that you have to climb and you have to get out of it. It's vicious. It's not just any wrestling match. So
did this exist when you were like in your heyday?
Oh, yes.
It did?
Yes,
Okay.
Yes, I'm a WWE legend now, but I was on the road for 10 years, and we were fighting viciously, ladder matches, elimination chambers, and whoever wins this match will go on to pick a WrestleMania title match. So they can become champion. They might be able to face Drew or Jade. Actually, not might, but
Yeah, it's a pivotal stop. You know, this is a very important event leading up to WrestleMania. You had Royal Rumble, which was also a pivotal moment, but this is the last stop before WrestleMania in Vegas.
Yes.
It is just going to be insane tonight. And there's a lot of surprises, apparently, too.
Yeah.
What kinds of rumors are going around about what surprises
there's this
could
big
be?
box that they're going to, crate that they're going to open. So, you know, the thing about WWE, anything can happen. Like, it's really exciting. So you're going to have to tune in tonight and watch. And
we're going to be there.
We're going to be there.
You guys are going to be at the United Center.
We cover it for our podcast.
We're covering it for our podcast called Inside the Ring on TMZ. And it's just really, really blown up the last couple months since August. And we've gone viral many times. We've gotten beaten up on the podcast, which is really crazy. Yeah. You want to share that story?
Yeah. What happened there? I've never experienced that as a broadcaster.
Well, you're very lucky. You're very lucky. I don't ever want to see you go through that.
No.
I had former WWE superstar Matt Riddle. You may know him. He's also a UFC fighter, so this guy's no joke. And he came in on the pod, and I said a few things about him trying to get back into UFC with Jake Paul and maybe potentially going after Jake Paul for a fight. And I told him, I said, hey, man, I think you're just looking for a cash grab. And that's what I thought. You know, I gave him my honest opinion. It is a podcast. And he grabbed me, man. He grabbed me, he picked me up, he slammed me into a table, and he hit me right in the face.
What is the takeaway for you there?
You know, the takeaway is, you know, you can't be afraid to say things. Even if it gets you hit, it's okay.
What is the prop you brought? Is this
Did you call us a prop?
Sorry.
No. This is the
real thing?
This is
My
the
bad.
prestigious
I hope I don't get
TMZ's Inside the Ring title. Many people have tried to take it. Matt Riddle himself, I ended up getting it back from him. But we take this everywhere we go. You know, you can't be too careful.
This is a championship.
A lot of the superstars like this.
We don't want to put you through the...
I got to ask you, though, with this Elimination Chamber, having been through this, what is going through the mind of one of the wrestlers as they climb into a structure like that?
Well, you have to be like... Your mind has to be so many steps ahead, because it's not just going in there and beating people up. You have a cage. You have all these different opponents, and there are people coming out of the chambers, and so it's really aggressive. It's one of the most aggressive matches, and I'm really excited to watch and see these amazing women and men fight for this championship, and then talk about it on
TMZ on Monday.
Let's hear about the pod.
Yeah.
How did this come to be? You guys co-hosting and launching the show.
So interesting. You know, she actually came in a little bit later. I got to give a shout out to my buddy Roger, because him and I started this podcast back in August, and we told Harvey Levin, we said, hey, you know, wrestling is massive.
Yeah.
We have to do a wrestling podcast. He went for it. He greenlit the thing, and immediately, you know, we worked really, really hard. We had some great former guests on, and then around the time you showed up, we started having some of the really big current guys on. Drew McIntyre, Gunther after retiring, John Cena, the first exclusive after that. So we get these amazing opportunities, exclusives right after these matches to speak with these people. And the success is just, you know, for us, we've worked really hard.
I have had two friends whose wives have gotten into WWE. Is this a common thing? Are women? Are more and more women? Is this getting more popular with women?
I think in general in society we're having equal opportunity a lot more than ever, and we've been fighting for opportunity over and over in the workplace, in the news, and wrestling. And so so thankful for people like Triple H and Stephanie McMahon, who have really pushed for women opportunity. And I was a part of the Women's Evolution, the Divas Revolution, the first ever Women's Royal Rumble. And so it's incredible to see the Women's Elimination Chambers and the women go off the main event WrestleMania. So we love to interview them. I really am curious to constantly learn. And so even though I am a legend in WWE, I am always still learning from the people that we're interviewing, and it's a lot of fun.
Very, very cool. Well, the podcast is called Inside the Ring. Got CJ, got Branson. Thank you so much for giving us a little preview. Have a blast tonight.
Thank you.
And we look forward to the coverage afterwards. Maybe I'll get on board with my wife. We'll sit down and take it in.
Please do. I mean, hey, I've met people who said the same thing, and now they're obsessed.
They're hooked
with wrestling.
I heard once you get hooked, you're just like in.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you both for being here. Really appreciate your time.
Thank you, Anthony.
Appreciate it a lot. All right, we have more Good Day Chicago coming up after this short break, so stay with us.
great.
All right, if you were looking for a place that allows you to enjoy the outdoors while eating great food, you might want to check out the Abbey Resort. It's located on the shores of Lake Geneva in Fontana, Wisconsin. And joining us now with a little preview of some of the cuisine there up at the resort is Chef Noah Gumushtakin. Chef Gumushtakin, how did I do on your last name?
You did a great job.
Pretty good, pretty good. Okay, for viewers who may not know, what makes the Abbey Resort such a special destination? A lot of people have heard of Lake Geneva, but may not have checked out the Abbey. What's it all about?
Abbey is actually one of the oldest resorts in the lake, and they've been here for since the 1960s. And it's really like a family friendly, and we have like a spa and several restaurants, and summer we opening for the pool restaurant as well, open doors pool. And so also we have a great cuisine, some of the a Wisconsin for classic, like the fish fries, and same time we have for the great restaurant, and it has a little bit for my background for the Mediterranean cuisine, and plus on top of them for lots of good activities for we're doing. And upcoming for we have a wine dinner coming up for the March 10th. And then we have Easter brunch and Mother's Day brunch is coming up. Those are very big for the areas. And then we have a really good brunches going on for right now.
Oh, that's so cool. Yeah, that's right around the corner, all that stuff. Before we talk about how people can get in on that, if they want to pay a visit, oh, it looks so good. Wisconsin, fish fry. When it comes to the fish fry specifically, Chef, can you tell us about what sets the Abbey's Friday Spotted Cow fish fry apart? I know a lot of us have heard of the Spotted Cow beer.
So what we do we actually the beer batter is made for the spotted cows. We use for that one for our butters. And then we use for the cods or the walleye for the guest preference. And we have a hush puppies and potato pancakes and coleslaw and a little bit apple batter. And so that was actually a pretty good seller in here.
Oh my gosh, it sounds absolutely delectable. How is the Spotted Cow beer batter made, and what makes it work so well with, you said cod and walleye?
So what we do we have on our recipe for the dry mix millet, and then we add it for the spotted cows and makes them for a very nice for the smooth, almost like a pancake batter, a little bit like a crunch, because if you see for a crunch makes them actually really special for the fish, because it's you don't want for outside is crunchy, inside is moist, and then that's a perfect balance with it.
Oh, it's the best. It's the best. Okay, so let's go into the sides. I feel did I hear you mention hush puppies there? I want to talk about the side dishes people are going to get at these events.
Yeah, hush puppies, and then we have for the potato pancake, and also for a house make. All those is house make, and then we have a tartar sauce and apple sauce.
Will you talk about the space there? It looks like a pretty big space behind you, but when guests are there doing the Friday fish fry thing, where is it actually located on the property? Because I know the resort has got multiple sections to it. It's pretty sprawling.
Actually, I wish you could see the other side, but we have right in the actually for the dock. People are actually drop your boats and then they just walking in the restaurant in the summertime. Right now, of course, we closed. All the entire lakes is frozen, but we are right in the waters. You can see for the beautiful view, and especially for the summertime. And we are downstairs for the hotels, and then we have other restaurant for the right is close to the lobbies, which is you guys are seeing right now in the screen is that's the 240 West restaurant. And then we just a newly renovated, and we are gonna be reopening for the relaunching for the waterfront restaurant for the mid-April. So it's going to be a really great things are coming up for this week.
Oh, that sounds so great. So targeting mid-April there. Now, Easter coming up. You mentioned there's an Easter event. What can families expect for the Easter brunch this year?
Oh, we have for several carving station. We have a live omelet station. We have a seafood station, and we have a great dessert station for the brunch. And then most likely for the kids' activity, we're gonna have for the egg hunting for the Easter. And it's great for we have for
Wisconsin. What kinds of fun and activities can guests enjoy, and particularly the kids, if they go there for say a spring break vacay?
So we have for the whole activity actually teams for like makes them for like a scavenger hunts and lots of kids activity with them. We have an indoor pool before the temperature is getting better, and this whole family friendly resort. We have lots of good things to do.
Oh, it looks great. Time for a getaway, everybody. Chef, thank you so much. We really appreciate your time, and I'm getting so hungry just looking at that spread you brought in. Chef, thank you. All right, it's 8:49 back here. Don't go anywhere. Mark's going to have a final check of the weather forecast when we come back. A real-life Oscar the Grouch, everybody. This happened in Ohio. Police arrested a man who took off after he hid out in a garbage can, or tried to anyway. Dash cam video from an officer shows a garbage collector rolling the can toward the truck only to fall back after discovering a man hiding inside. That man then jumped out, flees the scene with his shoes flying off during the police chase. Police say the man was eventually caught and taken into custody with no reported injuries. That man hid in the trash after allegedly fleeing a traffic stop.
That's a lot of drama for fleeing a traffic.
There must have been something else going on.
You think so? There's a story behind the story?
There might be a story behind the story.
Yeah, and what was the perfume that you came up with that he would smell like?
Dumpster juice.
Dumpster juice.
I think, you know what I was trying to think of? It's in Monsters, Inc. They have two kinds of deodorant. The Monsters do, and one of them is called Smelly Garbage.
Smelly Garbage.
Smelly Garbage.
You know, we need
or Wet Dog was the other one. Wet Dog and Smelly Garbage.
We need to come out with that, you know? Yeah. You know, you go into jail, you want to keep the other people away from you? A little
smelly garbage.
Smelly garbage. Yeah. One dog owner in New York doing some serious digging in the backyard after getting nearly 30 inches of snow. It was so deep, the path they dug actually looked like little walls, what's that where they put the mice through and they've got
a little maze?
A little doggy maze. That's what they should have done here. Instead of just like a little doggy poop chute, they should have done, you know, like a whole little maze where they get like a treat at the end. They put a little camera on the doggy.
I think those pooches look pretty happy. happy with that.
I think I'm kind of overthinking this. Although it may have been more fun for the owners, it took the dogs a few tries to get used to the backyard maze.
Hey, okay, better than being snowed in completely. Okay, imagine pulling up to a stoplight and then just plunging down into a giant sinkhole. This happened in Omaha, of all places. Cameras were rolling as well, as they are wont to do at many intersections. Bystanders rushed in to help. When they saw this happen, they pulled the drivers out, and then a crane had to be brought in to remove those vehicles. Thankfully, Mark, no one was hurt.
Yeah.
I was saying earlier, you know, the massive ones that form in Florida are absolutely, I mean, those are frightening. This is probably a water main break.
Probably a water main break, yeah. You know, to your point, the ones in Florida, you know, they have limestone underneath, and a lot of times when the water table goes down, it doesn't support the limestone, and it just kind of crumbles. And you see these potholes that are, you know, 50 feet deep, 60 feet deep sometimes.
It's wild.
So.
It's wild. All right. We want to get to another check of our weather situation. Mark, it's notably colder outside today.
Cold front came through, yeah.
It felt downright spring-like.
Yeah, yesterday.
Yesterday afternoon.
Mid-60s in Chicago, upper 60s in the southwest suburbs. Today, 36 whole degrees. We've got 25 overnight tonight. Northwest winds at around 10 to 25 miles per hour. A little bit of light snowfall is possible today right along the Wisconsin state line. Some areas could pick up to an inch. Here in the city, I'm not really worried about much of any accumulation. I think our temperatures are going to be too warm, and I think honestly that the snow is going to stay mostly across southern Wisconsin. There's also a little bit of snow and mostly rain central Illinois tomorrow. That stays away from us. Tomorrow we're a little cooler, 32 degrees, your high temperature, and then after that we're pretty close to normal Monday and Tuesday. Monday looks to me like one of the better days of the week because we see some sunshine and some decent temps. After that, we're up into the lower and then the upper 50s towards the end of the week. However, as you can see, there is a chance of rainfall each and every day, and at night we have decent chances of rainfall. We really need the rain. We need to recharge some of the soil moisture, so this is going to come in handy.
So that'll be good. Soil moisture heading into, I mean, spring is around the corner at this point.
And we're at a little bit of a deficit across a good portion of northern Illinois.
Yeah, absolutely. And so it sounds like remainder of the week, maybe the temperatures look good, but the vitamin D, we're going to need to take that vitamin D supplement.
That's always a good idea, right?
Perhaps because the it doesn't look like we're going to get too much sunshine. But Mark, the reason I called this highly, I'm going to go with highly serviceable.
Serviceable, yeah.
Is because this will kind of take us into, you know, cruise into March, and then all of a sudden we're in mid-March.
And, you know, we can kiss those below zero temperatures goodbye.
Yeah, you were saying it's kind of hard to generate that Arctic air this late in the year.
Push it down our direction anyway,
All right. We hope your Saturday is off to a great start. That's going to do it for us here on Good Day Chicago. We hope you have a great one, everybody. Thanks for joining us.
Good seeing you, my friend.
You too.
Not